Ian paints you a picture where he gives you the worry, the fear that the government may go back into the business of the bedroom.
So Mikey got up here tonight, and he would have you believe that when one partner transmits HIV to another, that it is always malicious.
For most people in this country, consensual sex is never a crime. And I believe that right, and it is a right, should extend to everyone. But unfortunately, there's a law in Canada, and it's a judge-created law, it wasn't created by any legislature, that criminalizes exposure to sexually transmitted infections and diseases.
Because at the end of the day, it is not sufficient to simply say that if someone consented, i.e. used the words, I consent to this, I really want to do this, that is not necessarily sufficient in other aspects of criminal law.
And sometimes in these relationships, the passive partner can fear violence, can fear abuse, and can fear abandonment, and can want to remain in this relationship with their dominant partner nevertheless.
Now this law requires three things for a conviction. The first thing it requires is dishonesty.
We recognize that consent can be initiated on the grounds of intoxication.
We don't believe that criminal prosecution is necessary because we think people are bad or evil or going out and trying to infect as many people as possible, though we do agree this is a very bad thing and it deserves punishment. We think that criminal prosecution is necessary because people have a greater burden.
Secondly, it requires significant risk, that the other partner faces some significant risk, and it's on these grounds that this law is exclusively applied to HIV, typically. And finally, there has to be a link between the dishonesty and the consent. The court must show that the exposed partner would not have consented had they known the other partner was HIV positive.
They can feel that their partner will leave them, they can fear that their partner will hurt them, and we don't think that if the dominant partner in this instance contracts HIV, that it is malicious.
We recognize that people of certain ages cannot consent.
Sex, consent, and crime. What is a crime? I believe a crime represents malice and aggression.
We also recognize that consent can be initiated to persons of authority.
But what I would say, and what Ian would also agree, is that sexual health is a shared responsibility.
Worst off, we have good reason to believe that these laws will be counterproductive. Consider that these laws create a disincentive to seek testing. People are less likely to seek testing when knowing you have HIV is what exposes you to the possibility of criminal guilt. Furthermore, these laws encourage a culture of disclosure. They tell people that because it's a crime to lie about your HIV status, you should always trust people when they disclose.
We believe that if there is full consent and full disclosure, unprotected sex among all individuals is perfectly fine and perfectly adequate.
And worse safe-sex practices. It is always possible to be exposed to a disease when the other person is perfectly honest. Simply put, condoms are the best proven technique for protecting the public against any sexually transmitted infection. And a culture of disclosure encouraged by these laws discourages people from using condoms. It reduces the incentives for using condoms because it lets people believe that they can always trust their partner and that their partner will always know.
Moreover, the causation of the risk is clear. When we look at criminal convictions, we are talking about individuals who, if they had known that their sexual partner was HIV positive, they would not have consented.
In 2003, 50% of high school students answered a survey indicating that they believed that a cure existed for HIV.
We say a culture of disclosure leads to a reduction of stigma because it leads to the viability and visibility of HIV, persons with HIV everywhere. Thank you.